When Sanford and Son premiered on NBC in 1972, it wasn't just another sitcom joining the schedule. It was a cultural shift. The series introduced audiences to a black father and son whose relationship felt honest, flawed, and deeply familiar. Red Fox brought decades of stand-up experience and raw comedic energy to the role of Fred Sanford, while Demond Wilson grounded the show as Lamont, his patient and principled son. Together, they created a balance that made the comedy resonate beyond punchlines. The humor was loud, but the emotional connection was subtle and enduring. Viewers didn't just laugh at their arguments, they recognized themselves in them. The show quickly became one of NBC's highest-rated programs, proving that authentic representation and sharp writing could command national attention. What appeared effortless on screen, however, was built on two very different personalities learning how to share success under immense pressure. An unlikely partnership takes shape. At the start, the relationship between Red Fox and Demond Wilson was marked by mutual respect and opportunity. Fox, already a legend in comedy, saw potential in Wilson and reportedly supported his casting and early development on the show. Wilson, still establishing himself, viewed Fox as both a mentor and a powerful creative force. Their dynamic mirrored their on-screen roles in many ways, with Fox as the dominant presence and Wilson as the stabilizing counterpart. In the early seasons, this balance worked. The set carried an energy that felt collaborative, even familial at times. Yet beneath that surface, both men were navigating their own expectations, insecurities, and ambitions. Success arrived quickly, and with it came scrutiny, pressure, and the challenge of sharing credit in an industry not known for fairness. What began as a promising partnership slowly became more complicated as external forces weighed in. Fame, pressure, and unequal ground. As Sanford and Son grew into a ratings powerhouse, the demands placed on its stars intensified. Red Fox, whose name and reputation drove much of the show's appeal, became increasingly vocal about how he was treated by the network. He believed his compensation and working conditions did not reflect his contribution, especially when compared to other television stars of the era. These frustrations were not just personal. They reflected broader conversations about equity and recognition in the industry. For Demond Wilson, the situation was more precarious. As a younger actor still building his career, he was bound by contracts and expectations that offered little flexibility. While Fox had leverage, Wilson had responsibility. He continued to show up, perform, and promote the series, navigating a narrow path between loyalty and obligation. The imbalance of power created tension, not necessarily from malice, but from circumstance. The walkout that changed everything. In 1974, tensions reached a breaking point when Red Fox temporarily stepped away from the show during a contract dispute. For audiences, the absence of Fred Sanford was jarring, and for the production, it created uncertainty. Wilson suddenly found himself carrying a series built around a partnership that was now fractured. Publicly, he remained composed, expressing hope that the situation would resolve. Privately, the weight of expectation grew heavier. The show continued, but the emotional atmosphere shifted. What had once felt collaborative now felt fragile. Fox's departure was rooted in principle and protest, while Wilson's decision to stay was rooted in responsibility and survival. Neither choice was simple, and neither came without consequence. This moment didn't just alter the structure of the show, it quietly altered the relationship between the two men, introducing distance where trust once lived. After the return, something was missing. When Red Fox returned following renegotiations, the show regained its familiar rhythm on screen. The jokes landed, the chemistry appeared intact, and audiences embraced the reunion. Yet behind the scenes, something had changed. The earlier sense of ease between Fox and Wilson never fully returned. Professional respect remained, but personal warmth had cooled. Differences in pay, creative control, and influence became more pronounced, reinforcing a sense of imbalance. Wilson, who had carried the show during Fox's absence, found himself still positioned as secondary, despite his central role. Foxx, empowered by his new contract, focused on steering the show as he saw fit. These realities didn't explode into public conflict, but they settled into quiet distance. Conversations shortened, interactions became strictly professional, and the shared joy that once defined their partnership slowly faded into routine. Two paths, one ending. By the time Sanford and Son ended in 1977, the era of Fred and Lamont had closed, but so had the relationship between the actors who brought them to life. After the series, Red Fox returned to stand-up and new television ventures, reclaiming the unfiltered voice that first made him famous. Demon Wilson, meanwhile, began stepping away from Hollywood altogether. Disillusioned by the pressures and conflicts that surrounded his greatest success, he turned inward, searching for meaning beyond entertainment. Their paths diverged completely, not with confrontation, but with silence. There was no public reconciliation, no dramatic fallout, just distance that grew with time. The absence of connection wasn't fueled by a single betrayal, but by accumulated misunderstandings, unspoken expectations, and the toll of navigating success in an industry that often pits people against one another without offering resolution. Loss. Without reconciliation. When Red Fox passed away in 1991, fans naturally looked for signs of closure between the two men who had defined a generation of television. Demon Wilson's absence from public memorials sparked curiosity and speculation, but the truth was simpler and more human. At the time of Fox's passing, the two were no longer in contact. Years of distance had created a silence that neither had bridged. Wilson later acknowledged the separation without elaboration, choosing restraint over revisiting old wounds. There was no public airing of grievances, no attempt to rewrite history. For Wilson, grief did not require performance. The lack of reconciliation was not a statement, but a reflection of unresolved distance. Sometimes relationships end without resolution, not because of hatred, but because time and circumstance quietly carry people too far apart to return. The legacy they share. Despite personal distance, the legacy of Red Fox and Demon Wilson remains inseparable. Together, they created a show that continues to resonate decades later, introducing new audiences to humor rooted in truth and character. Their on-screen relationship remains one of television's most memorable, not because it was perfect, but because it felt real. The tension, affection, frustration, and loyalty between Fred and Lamont mirrored real family dynamics, giving the show lasting emotional power. Whatever existed off-screen does not erase what they built together. Art often outlives the relationships that create it, carrying meaning independent of personal history. In this case, the work stands as proof that collaboration can produce something timeless, even when the people involved move on separately. Their shared contribution remains intact, continuing to entertain and connect generations. What the silence teaches us: the story of Red Fox and Demon Wilson is not one of villains and victims, but of human complexity. It reminds us that professional success does not guarantee personal harmony, and that silence often carries more nuance than conflict. Their journey reflects the pressures of fame, inequity, pride, and expectation, forces that shape relationships quietly over time. While fans may wish for reconciliation, real life does not always offer neat endings. What remains is the work, the laughter, and the cultural impact they created together. Sometimes legacy is not about how relationships end, but about what they gave while they existed. In remembering them, We are invited to appreciate the art without demanding resolution from the artists.